I think we are ready to start. Good evening, everyone. I'm David Salerno, principal here at Charles S. Rushi Middle School. Very pleased to be with you this evening to share with you a little bit about Charles S. Rushi Middle School. Unfortunately, we're not able to be together face to face. I always enjoyed getting to meet all the students for the first time on this special night. But we thought that this would be a great opportunity for us to at least come together, for us to share some information and for you to ask questions that you may have. So throughout this evening, we'll be presenting several different topics that will help you to better understand students, what to expect as a student,
earbuds or no?
parents, what to expect.
Mr. David, you're on mute.
Mr. Salerno, you're on mute.
Right. I don't know how that happened, but
There
now
you
you
go.
can hear me. So very pleased to have with us several staff members from Charles S. Rushi Middle School. From the Achieve team, we're very pleased to have Mr. Ryan Slaughter. He teaches U.S. history, social studies, and a little bit later he's going to talk a little bit about the curriculum and what to expect in history. And from the Navigators team and representing our Language Arts department, we're very pleased to have Mrs. Kelly Rappaport. And again, she'll be talking a little bit later about the Language Arts curriculum and some information about that subject. Representing science from Team Infinity, we have Miss Ava Atkins. So thank you so much for being here, Miss Atkins, as well. And also we have with us tonight from our math department, Mrs. Holly Vandenberg from our Team Ohana. And we're also very fortunate to have our school counselor who will be looping up with students. What we mean by that is throughout the 3 years that your child will be a student at Charles S. Rushi Middle School, Mrs. Druschel, Jessica Druschel, will be your school counselor. So the key is to really get to know our families, get to know our students, and that's exactly what Mrs. Druschel will be doing. We also have joining us for a presentation immediately following this one, a very special guest, Mrs. Janelle Levison, the math teacher from the Soar Academy. And she'll be talking a little bit about that program for those of you who are interested in that. And last but certainly not least, we're very pleased to have Mrs. Rachel Beamer. Mrs. Beamer is our 6th grade school administrator, and she will be helping you to get acquainted with our school. Once again, I'm David Salerno, principal at Charles S. Rushi Middle School, and we are thrilled to have you here joining us this evening. I know that we have 4 main schools that feed into our school. I know out in our audience tonight, we have our Oakstead Otters, so welcome to our Oakstead Otters. And we have our Sanders Memorial Elementary School Stallions. So welcome to our Stallions. Giddy up. And then we have some turtles, I hear. They're crawling here, but they're here. Lake Myrtle turtles are here. And also welcome to our Bexley Bulldogs. If we have any other students who are joining us from any other schools, we welcome you as well. But those are our 4 main feeder schools. And it's great to have you here with us tonight. Our school, if we could go on to the next slide, our school is going to be sharing several different topics this evening. We are going to start with a presentation from our PTSA, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some people you should know, talk a little bit about supervision and hours of operation for our school, school-wide expectations, something called On Track you may not be familiar with, but we do it at the secondary level. School discipline, not that anyone that's joining us is going to have a problem with that, but we do want to share some of the expectations. Same with dress code. and scheduling. We'll also talk a little bit about the middle school requirements for curriculum, and that's where our content teachers that I introduced earlier will come in. We'll talk about student activities, and there's a lot of great activities to get involved with here at Charles S. Ruscia Middle School. And if you can't find one, you make one, and we'll start a club for you. And some dates to remember. And then at the end of the evening, we'll have this Soar Academy and a presentation from them. I would like to welcome to you a very important person to our school, and that is our PTSA president, Mrs. Kate Leonardo. Mrs. Leonardo, if you would, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to all of our incoming 6th grade Ruscia Ravens. It's a big step coming from the elementary level into middle school. I'm Kate Leonardo, the president of the PTSA. I currently have a 6th grader myself, Lucas, my son. And many of you might be aware of, at the elementary level, it's called maybe the PTA or the PTO. So when you get to the middle school level, we add in the S, which is for students. So it's Parent Teacher Student Association. We all kind of work together as a whole. We complement the very good job that Ruscia administration is already doing. So we're there to kind of help and support them. And I do have to say, we have an awesome principal, Mr. Salerno, and all of our administrators, the assistant principals, our teachers, our staff, everybody is just wonderful. So I know some of the kids might be a little nervous coming in, from elementary, but we'll get you squared away. We do have some volunteer opportunities with the PTSA and kind of help out different events. I know COVID, it's a little bit different this year, but we're hoping once things kind of get back to normal, we do kind of sponsor some events at the school, make it really fun, so we can involve the parents with that. We do also have some board positions on the PTSA. So if any parents are interested in joining the PTSA, you can join as a parent, and you can also maybe go after one of those board positions. If you would like more information on that, you can reach us at our social media links. We have an online presence, and I have a little form I'll show you guys. If you guys want to get your cameras, you guys can take a picture. I think that's about it. I just want to say again that we have an awesome team at Ruscia, and we do look forward to meeting everybody in the fall, August, when school starts. So I will put up this little piece of paper. Hopefully you guys can see and maybe take a picture. That is our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you guys want to join us and follow us there, we post a lot of information from the school, and any kind of upcoming events, pop-up shops, spirit wear. By the way, make sure you buy your kids a hoodie. All the kids love the hoodies. So you got to have a Ruscia Raven hoodie. And that's it from me. Thank you guys very much, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Leonardo. And I can't say enough about our PTSA, the great support that they provide, not only our students in the classroom, but our teachers and our whole school. So thank you so much. So as Mrs. Leonardo said, we're very blessed to have as the backbone of our school, some wonderful staff that you will get a chance to meet along the way. You'll see some pictures of some of the key administrative staff in the center. As I had introduced earlier, also our school counselor for 6th grade, who will be moving up throughout the years with your children, Mrs. Druschel. And then our front office staff, Mrs. Paula Bunker and Ms. Sherry Hoy, just an awesome front office staff. They'll be the first to greet you when you come into the building. So you're going from, I'm sure, one great school to another friendly school with a lot of really dedicated staff. At this time, let me share with you that we also have a graphic in front of you right now. We have a pretty neat setup at our school. We were the first school to be built as a 3-story school. And it sounds a little intimidating and it looks large, but every team has its own hallway or section of the building. So all of our sixth graders are on the first floor. And as you're looking at the building, I see the arrows that are being pointed out there. You'll see that the Navigators has a wing of the building on the first floor, right off the atrium. Infinity has a hallway just adjacent to that. And then across the building on the first floor, you'll see Team Ohana. And they have a whole horseshoe hallway, a little unique. And then the Achieve team, they are a team that has some portable classrooms, and they're the more modern portable, so they're really very, very nice. And then, of course, for those of you who are going to be taking some of the electives, of course, everyone takes the research and health. Those are out in the portables as well. And then art and band, there's a whole suite with art, band, and chorus all in that same vicinity next to the cafeteria. It's one of my favorite places to visit, to hear really angelic sounds coming from that area and seeing the great artwork that the students do. And then for those of you who are taking PE, if you don't waive out of PE, the gymnasium's on the opposite side of the building. And of course, some people's favorite place to go is the cafeteria. And we have an awesome cafeteria filled with great treats for everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it now over to Mrs. Beamer. Mrs. Beamer.
Thank you. That was a great introduction of basically what I was going to say. So yes, so that is kind of the outline of our school if you were looking down on it. And then here is where Mr. Salerno was talking about that we do have 3 floors. Most of our students that are in 6th grade will be on the first floor. The cool part is, as well as, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but we are divided up into interdisciplinary teams. And so most of their classes are going to be within the same kind of area. So they'll only be walking like to the next door. It won't be that they'll have to travel long distances across the building, which makes it nice and helps with students as well as they learn to begin to transition to classes. The next thing we want to talk about is just our school hours, because it is much different than elementary school. So we start a lot earlier. It was so fun visiting the elementary schools and talking with the kids about what time school starts. You should have seen their eyes get real wide when they realized they start at 7:25. So yes, students can start coming on campus at 7:10. Typically students are arriving at that time and entering our building to go right to class. They can grab breakfast on the way, and then our class begins at 7:25. So that is the tardy bell for first period, 7:25. We go until 1:52. This year it's a little bit longer. If you have older children, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, it's 2:10, but that's just because of starting a little bit later. So hopefully we'll be reverting back to our older schedule from last year, which is 1:52. There is passing between each period. So there's 3 minutes of passing between each period, and then students do get a 30-minute lunch. So this is kind of what the schedule looks like. And I put the whole thing because I want parents to know that we do have different schedules based on different things that we do in the building. And when you look at this, it's a little overwhelming. And I show the kids this as well because I want them to kind of know that there is different schedules depending upon what grade you're in. But I remind them just to focus on this schedule because this is typically the 6th grade schedule. And so a couple of things that I point out to kids is, yes, we do start lunch relatively early. But remember, students are getting up really early. So they're eating breakfast, early in the morning. So by the time 10 o'clock rolls around, they are pretty hungry. And then, of course, we get out at 1:52. So it's a time to have a snack around that time frame. And then during the other thing I want to mention is that we do have what's called an air time. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what that looks like a little bit later in the presentation. And I'll show you where it is in a schedule so that you can kind of see it. So when you get your child's schedule, you're not concerned. If you do have a question, just go ahead and post it in the chat. Mr. Salerno and Ms. Druschel are monitoring that chat and we'll make sure that it gets answered. Ms. Druschel, you're up.
Hello.
So I'm going to ask what day school starts. And I am so excited that people are excited about the start of school. August 10th is the first day of school, kids.
Hey everybody, Mrs. Druschel here. I wanted to go over some of our school-wide expectations with you. And I remember when we were there with the kids, most all of the kids, they knew what the school-wide expectations will be because they're very similar at their elementary school. So our 3 school-wide expectations are to be respectful to students and staff, to be responsible, being accountable and dependable, and then also being a problem solver, always looking for solutions to problems. And so at Rushi, I have one here with me. It's right here, if you can see it. It's called a Ravenclaw cash card. So when kids are following the school-wide expectations, all the staff and teachers will be looking out for these things, and kids can earn this Ravenclaw cash. This year, it's been a little bit of a hit. We got a new slushy machine in the cafeteria, so kids can cash in their Ravenclaw cash to get a slushy. They can get a ice cream sandwich or bar, some Rice Krispies. They can use it actually to go and pick a friend that actually is at their lunch, and they may go sit outside and eat. This year, due to COVID, we don't have a school store, but hopefully next year we'll be back at that they can use some of their Ravenclaw cash to buy some of those items. So we are always looking for kids to follow those expectations and then also reward them for doing those things. And also some of our school-wide expectations, we have something called being on track. So if you can see the first line, the green, where it has the green arrow on track, it's like a train going down the track. We told the kids, you don't want it to derail or go off. You want to keep going down the path. And to be an on-track student, one of the main things is in their courses, they need to get C's or better in all of their classes. They need to be at school, have 0 or 2 absences in a quarter. We look at being on track every quarter. And then if you skip over 1 to the office discipline referrals, those are the write-ups if kids aren't following the school-wide expectations. We would like them to not have any of those in the quarter, 2 or fewer in the year. So if they are an on-track student, they will get an on-track badge, and you will see, here's one coming up. This is actually Mrs. Beamer's daughter, Addison. She is one of our 8th grade students. So this is what it looks like in the system. And then this is her badge. Okay.
She did. So this is actually, I'm going to keep going until she pops in. Oh, there she goes.
Can you hear me? Sorry, I froze. That's actually, yeah, Mrs. Beamer's daughter, Addison. She has an on-track card there. It's okay if it gets crumpled. A lot of kids take a picture of it or keep it. But if they're an on-track student, they get one of these badges. And again, they can use some of those to get in line first for lunch. Again, we use like with the Ravenclaw cash to go outside. And unfortunately this year, usually once a month, we did have where kids could go around to the building and have maybe like a dance party in one room, watch a movie in one room, go play basketball. They could earn being an on-track student by having kind of a free afternoon. So hopefully we'll get to implement that again in the future. So we look at one of the things we said about being an on-track student, and we really emphasize student attendance. We know this year is a little bit different because of attendance and quarantining, right? But this year in this, if you see where it says if a student misses and it has 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, there's a lot of minutes of instruction that are missed when kids miss 1 day of school. When you look at it like that, it seems kind of like a lot, right? So that's why we really stress being at school when the teachers are teaching their lessons. We really want them to be here. And for student attendance, when possible, if you could provide us with 24 hours notice of those absences, we do have a spot on our school website where there's a report student absence tab, so you can fill everything in right online. If you do bring in a note, we will get that to the appropriate person too. It's the student's responsibility to ask their teachers to get some missed work, and you see there are excused absences are granted for, of course, illnesses, death of a student in the family, holidays, or trips deemed appropriate by the principal and approved in advance.
So we do want to talk a little bit about student discipline. Again, Mr. Salerno, I think, really summed it up when he said that we don't believe that we'll have too many difficulties this coming year. And we spoke to the students about this same information. But regularly, there's obviously things that the teacher kind of handles and things that administration handles. And in terms of that, it depends on the level, obviously, of how often something is happening. So you'll notice some of these ones with stars. If it's happening frequently, then it will end up going to administration. But in the beginning, we try to have it handled teacher-based. Ms. Druschel, I think you're frozen again. So I'm going to keep going.
I'm so sorry, I'm frozen.
Out as well is oh, you're back. Do you want to take this slide?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I am freezing up.
Yes,
At,
okay.
at Russia Middle School, we are a bully-free school, like I'm sure all of the elementary schools are. And we always like to have the bullying definition there, that it's any unwanted aggressive act which is repeated over time and involves a real or perceived imbalance of power, because we look at that definition to see if that would be happening at our school. And really, this does not happen at Russia very often at all. I really think it's a great school. But if someone is feeling like they are being bullied, we have some steps where a student needs to always make sure to report to an adult at school. The school will investigate, speak with the students, will document what's happened, and implement appropriate interventions for that. If it continues, we will contact parents, establish some agreements, and then if it still continues, it will move further on with some more of those consequences, and hopefully it doesn't get to that point.
So student discipline is handled student by student. We follow the student code of conduct. So any of the disciplines are really kind of outlined in that student code of conduct. But again, we really look at each individual student. And so the consequence is specific to that student. And what I mean by that is there are several different systems that we kind of look at. There's an internal system where teachers are kind of documenting things like students getting minor infractions like a lunch detention or something small. And then there's the bigger system where a student has received a previous type of a referral, or what we call a write-up. And then there's also just like hearing information from, teachers or other situations that have happened in the building if we have knowledge of those things. So again, we look at those pieces to kind of make a decision about what the consequence might be for that individual child. And so that's why I put there that it is data driven, because we really are looking at data. The biggest thing for parents to remember is that discipline is progressive. And I say it is based on the situation or incident, because again, there are certain situations that may skip a progressive level depending upon how significant, and things would be, which does not happen often at Rishi, but fights. If students are getting into fights, sometimes that will skip, having a parent-teacher conference and go directly to having the student have what we call in-school suspension or out-of-school suspension. So again, it kind of just depends on the infraction itself, but we do typically follow a progressive discipline system. I was laughing at the kids because this was a slide for the kids. And so I shared with them that, and things that they may have gotten away with in elementary school, we don't get away with in middle school. And the reason for that is because we just have a lot of students on campus. And so when you have a lot more students, you have to be a little bit more strict about what students are doing and not doing. The other thing that I shared with them is that you have a little bit more freedom. And what I mean, and what I explained to the students is what I mean by that is there is 3 minutes of passing between each period. It's not like elementary school where kids line up and they have to follow in a line to go to the next class. Students have the ability just to kind of get up, and when the teacher says it, you may leave, they can walk out and they get to walk and talk with their friends. And so again, sometimes that causes a little bit more horseplay than typically would. The other thing I talk to kids about is those bigger feelings, right? We know that in middle school, their bodies are changing, things are happening. And so kids, what we see typically is that it starts out, everyone is playing, they're all joking around, kids are laughing. And then someone decides it's not funny anymore and doesn't tell the rest of the group, or has told the rest of the group, but they think, oh, he's just kidding around. And then it just becomes a bigger problem. So again, we want to make sure that all of our students on campus, each and every one, feels safe, feels respected, and wants to come to school. And so we just need to make sure that we're following those guidelines.
So I'm going to go over some of our dress code expectations. We went over this with the kids, and we said that maybe it's a little bit different than elementary school, maybe not much different, but some of the main things that we shared with them are that there are people at Rishi that do check on this, and they aren't allowed to attend class if they don't have on the appropriate dress code. They have to call home and get a change of clothes. Some of the main points are, we know that this is how the jeans are sold with holes in them now. A lot of times they just can't be above the knee. Everything needs to be covered by their pants and shirts, no spaghetti straps, crop tops, things like that. Make sure that the short skirts and dresses aren't more than 4 inches above the knee. They just have to be a little longer. We talked about in elementary school, like gym shorts and things, it's okay to wear all of that. But as they grow and mature and get older, middle school, get bigger, we have to wear a little bit longer of clothes. They can't wear hoods or hats on their head up around school. They can wear a hoodie, just not up. And we say no flip-flop slides or slippers, mainly for safety, since Russia is 3 floors. We don't want anybody to slip or have any accidents. So mostly just like the tennis shoes, their slip-ons. If they do have a sandal, if it has a back, it's okay. And again, just making sure that there's appropriate words and everything on their shirts. And there wasn't on here, but the kids did ask about girls can wear leggings. They do just have to have a longer shirt that covers everything if they do wear a legging. And the kids' eyes got kind of big and they were kind of cheering when we told them that you can have your phones at school at Rushi. You get to have your phones out at lunch. We told them they were pretty excited about that. But we did talk to them about that students are responsible for their own devices, to not lend it out, give anybody your passwords, that they are their responsibility to keep track of. We told them to make sure that they're on silent mode in class. Otherwise, the teacher might take it from them and keep it for a period or till the end of the day. We didn't want them to be embarrassed if their phone goes off in class. We told them they are allowed to use their electronics in the hallway and cafeteria freely as long as they abide by the rules. If not, they might not be able to have their phone at school. We told them no electronics are allowed in the restrooms or locker rooms. They just have to be put away when they go there. Taking pictures or videos isn't allowed on campus. We told them we know a lot of them maybe like to do a TikTok video, but they'll just have to do that one at home. We told them they can make calls if they needed to. They just need to get permission from a staff member. If they needed to call their parents or text, totally fine. Just making sure it was at an appropriate time. And we told kids they don't have to have a device at school or a phone. We always have lots of phones. They can go and ask somebody to use one if they need. And we do have a policy we talked about. We have the bring your own device policy that when you guys go through the registration process, with some of the paperwork, you will see this, and there will be a spot that the kids and parents sign off on some of these procedures.
Thank you, Ms. Druschel. So we want to get into kind of the meat and potatoes of scheduling and kind of what that looks like. And so as I had mentioned earlier, we have what's called interdisciplinary teams, meaning that it is a math, science, social studies, language arts team. And so those teams are Ohana, Navigator, Infinity, and Achieve. And we actually have one representative from each team here tonight to talk to you about their specific content area. In middle school, their students will take 6 classes or courses. 4 of them are what we call core courses. That's the math, ELA, which is reading and writing. It's English language arts, science, and social studies. Then they also get to have 2 electives. And then of course they have a lunch and a homeroom. And so I just showed you an example really briefly of a student's schedule. And you can see here where there's the homeroom. If you remember back to when I spoke about airtime, that actually is what we consider the homeroom. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. In middle school, students have to actually pass all of those core content areas for each year. So for all 3 years, students have to pass math, language arts, science, and social studies. If a student does not pass one of those areas, they will get taken from one of their elective courses and placed into what we call a credit recovery course, so that they can ensure that they pass that course for the year. And so again, students don't move on to 9th grade unless all 3 of those core content or all 4 of those core content areas have been passed. And then there's also a career component in that as well, which students will get to take in 7th and 8th grade. So in middle school, all 6th graders have to take health. And then if they are not in what we call an accelerated literacy course, they will be in research. Accelerated literacy is a course that is for some of our struggling readers. And when we spoke to kids about the courses and the difference in advanced versus traditional track, we explained to kids that it's not about which track they're on or which course they take, it's about what the best fit is for them. And so again, if they're in that accelerated literacy, or it's called intensive reading, if they're in that course, it is okay. It just means they need a little extra help in reading. And so again, they'll take each of these 4 courses here. For social studies in 6th grade, it's US history. And then Mr. Slaughter will kind of talk about the progression of what that looks like as they move up. And then some of the electives that they have, 2D art theater, chorus, band, guitar, and creative writing. And we'll talk a little bit about when those courses can be offered. On the back of the course card, parents, you are going to see what's called a PE waiver. We talked specifically with students about this. And so parents get very confused because they're like, why do I need to sign this? I want my kid to take PE. And it is okay if you want your child to take PE, and that's great. PE is actually a required course for all students in middle school, but sometimes PE doesn't always fit into the student's schedule. I'll give you an example. If the student has to take intensive reading second semester, and let's say first semester they took, this one is easier. So if the student wants to take band, but they also have to take intensive reading, band is a full year course, and so is intensive reading. So the student wouldn't be able to take PE. And so the PE waiver is needed. And so rather than trying to track you down to try to get that signature, we ask that you just sign it on the course card, and that way we have it on hand. It doesn't mean that if you've selected PE that you're signing the waiver saying it's okay for your child not to be in PE. If you do want your child to be in PE, just make sure they put that as their first choice, and we will work to get them in there. Again, it's just for us to have on file in the event that your child is unable to fit PE into their schedule. So some examples of how a child's schedule might look. So first semester runs August to December. Your child may have selected PE. So again, here are the semester courses. And so your child may have selected to have PE. So they get the PE and the research. And then the second semester, they would get art and the health course that's required. If they selected band, you'll see that plus sign. That means it's a full year course. So again, here's the year-long courses. They may have taken band, and so they get band and research. And then the second semester, they get band and health. And then again, if your child is in accelerated literacy and they didn't select a year-long elective, then they can take one of the electives that they've selected. So in this case, it might be accelerated literacy and the child selected PE. And then second semester, the child will take accelerated literacy and they have to have the health. Again, health is a course that all sixth grade students have to take. So again, here's just an example of a student schedule. This is a student who has accelerated or advanced courses. And then you'll see this child selected PE. And then they also have the required health course. And then they have that homeroom that I talked about, which is what we call airtime. Notice on the schedule that it runs 1 through 6, and then you'll see this period 10. It looks like airtime is at the end of the day, but if you remember back to the schedule, airtime is actually after first period. So even though when you get this child's schedule, it looks like that homeroom is at the end of the day, it actually is after first period. And then here's just an example of a child who is taking traditional classes. And again, when we showed students these slides, we said it doesn't matter which course you take, and it really doesn't. It just matters that you're in the course that fits you the best. And so this child is in an intensive reading course because they need a little bit of support in reading. And then they're in that required health course. And then again, you'll see that homeroom. So here's our airtime, and it's important for students to kind of see what this is and what it looks like, and for parents to know what it is. So it is a time where students can get extra help. It's 30 minutes every day directly after first period. It's done strategically after first period because we know sometimes students can be late, and we know that that intervention time is really valuable for students. So we do it after first period because we're hoping that the majority of our kids are on campus. Every student is assigned a homeroom. They are assigned with one of their core content teachers, math, science, social studies, or language arts, and then they have an elective teacher that's kind of attached to that team. And so they'll be assigned potentially an elective teacher. But what that does is it allows students to get extra support in the areas that they're having issues with or concerns with. So for example, if I'm a student and I'm having a lot of trouble in math, I can go and visit the math teacher on my team and get extra support during that 30-minute time period. The other thing that you can use that time for, because some students will like raise their hand, they're like, what if we don't need any help in classes? I said, that's a great question. So if the student doesn't need help in any classes, they can certainly go into their My Student account, which we'll talk about in a second, what that looks like, and be checking their grades, making sure that they've completed everything, they've turned everything in. They can be organizing their book bags. They can be, if they've done all those things, they can be reading. But at Rushi, we do have second chance learning opportunities. And so again, if a student has scored on an assessment or on a assignment that they have completed, and they've scored a grade that they're not pleased with, their teachers typically do allow them to remake up that particular assignment and receive, more credit for that particular assignment, because it's about mastering the standards and it's about giving kids opportunities to do those things. So again, we tell students there's no excuses for missing work or for things not being turned in, because you have 30 minutes every day. If you forget to do your homework the night before, you have that 30 minutes to complete it. So there should be no missing work. Everything should be turned in on time and good to go. So this is what the course card looks like. Hopefully you've seen it already, since your students, we visited classrooms last week, so you should have been in classrooms. Remember that we are asking parents to rank order their elective options. So 1 through 6, 1 being their top pick. We do try extremely hard to make sure that students get their first and second picks in terms of electives. Unless, of course, again, it's a required course that they have to have, like the health or the intensive reading. But we do try to really stick to that. So if your child just puts, X's or checks next to the electives, we won't know which one is their top pick. And so we'll end up just picking for them. So please make sure that your child rank orders.
Mrs. Beamer, can I stop you for just a moment? There's a question in the chat about students who are coming to us from homeschool or private schools. How can they get a copy of the course card?
Absolutely. So if they want to email me, I am more than happy to send them a copy. And Mr. Salerno, you are welcome to put my email in the chat for other parents as well. If they have questions that they want to shoot me, that is absolutely fine. But that particular parent, if you want to just send me an email, just remind me that you were the parent that had a question about being homeschooled, and I will be happy to send you the course card. Make sure when you are a homeschool student that you also have set up a time to register with us here at Rushi. So the students that are coming from the elementary schools that are our feeder schools, they roll into our system. So their parents don't necessarily have to re-register them at our school because they roll into us. Whereas students who are coming from other counties or homeschool students, they do need to actually come into Rushi and fill out some registration paperwork for us. And so just make sure that you've scheduled a time to do that.
Mrs. Beamer?
Yes.
There was somebody that said they're a My School Online student and they didn't get their course cards, but I believe at each school we went to, the teachers of the 5th graders were going to send electronically those cards, and you didn't need to fill out the yellow hard copy we had. So hopefully your teachers at your elementaries were going to send them to you if you were an online student.
Yes, that's an excellent response, Ms. Truschel. And I would, if you haven't gotten it from your online teacher, I would just email them or maybe ask them when you're on the Zoom with them about when their course cards are coming, because again, we have sent out that information to the elementary schools already. All right, so at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Vandenberg from Team Ohana to talk about math.
Hi, everyone. My name is Holly Vandenberg, and I'm super excited about having your kids next year. We have 3 different paths for math students. If your student is currently working on grade level or needs a little extra support, they are going ahead and probably they'll be recommended for a regular math class. That means in 6th grade, they would take 6th grade math, 7th grade would be 7th grade math, 8th grade would be 8th grade math. They're also testing students in the elementary schools right now for advanced math. If you are chosen to, if you qualify for advanced math, you're put into advanced 6th grade math. And that means that what happens is we bridge, we in 6th grade, we do all of the 6th grade math, and you would take your 6th grade FSA. You also do half of the 7th grade math curriculum in 6th grade if you're in advanced math. If you're in advanced 7th grade math, you do the other half of the 7th grade math curriculum, but you do all of the 8th grade math. So you actually go ahead and you take the 8th grade FSA when you're in 7th grade. And that gives you the opportunity to take your first high school class, which is honors algebra. And the students who are in advanced math take honors algebra in 8th grade at Rushi. There's also a 3rd path that's it just started recently. doing, and I'm really happy to talk about. I have a class of students who have taken advanced 6th grade math. They started usually about February, March-ish in their 5th grade year, and they take advanced 6th grade math through Pasco E-School, and then they come in and they start advanced 7th grade math. And that gives them a huge opportunity because it goes ahead and they've got, and we've clustered them together, and they're still with their 6th grade. They still follow the 6th grade different patterns and things like that. And I have them from all 4 different teams. And then they're able to take advanced 7th grade math in 6th grade. They jump into honors algebra that we were talking about in 8th grade. And then they actually are able to take honors geometry they take honors algebra in 7th grade and honors geometry in 8th grade. And we're really blessed because they're able to do all those classes here at Russia with a teacher here at Russia. If you are interested in going ahead and talking more about your students signing up for the advanced 6th grade math over the summer or right now in February, March, I'm happy to stay on afterwards, and the guidance counselors can contact or talk to any of us. But our math books are consumables. They're very similar to what you've seen from what they've been doing at all Pasco County elementary schools. The online platform follows along pretty well with it. We're just started pilot CERN, so there's a lot of pretty easy transitions between the two of them.
Thank you, Ms. Vandenberg.
One of the questions that is in the chat box, if you don't mind addressing also, is about homework. Will homework be required in each of your subject areas?
I'll take that one. Math homework is required in all placements of math, whether you're in 6th grade math, advanced 6th grade math, or advanced 7th grade math. There are multiple attempts allowed at homework. You're able to, as Mrs. Beamer said previously, you're able to go and talk to your airtime teacher, to go back to your math teacher to figure out if there's something you need. Majority of the time, you'll start an assignment so your teacher can go ahead and walk around and see what examples you're working on. And then your practice is your homework. Now, every single homework isn't graded, but there is definitely math homework that is graded.
All right, so we're gonna move on to English Language Arts, which we call ELA, or sometimes we just shorten it and call it Language Arts. And Mrs. Rappaport from Team Navigators is here to go over that with us.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Rappaport. I teach 6th grade ELA for Team Navigators, and I'm looking forward to meeting you guys as well for next year. The main supplies that we're going to need for ELA next year are going to be a composition notebook. We don't prefer the spiral notebook. They end up ripping out. The pages we lose by November. So we really want to have that composition notebook. We also like to ask for a pocket plastic 3-prong 2-pocket notebook as well. We need pencils, and we need glue sticks, and did I say glue sticks? We need glue sticks. Everything goes into our interactive notebook, and that becomes a resource for students throughout the entire year. They go back in, use the information that we've learned from the beginning of the year to continue to apply to the end of the year, because the ELA standards are cyclical. They continue to repeat over and over and over again. So it's really important that they have that. We have 2 tracks for ELA. We have a traditional track and an advanced track. In order to be considered for advanced, a student needs a 4 or a 5 on an FSA, and an A, a B, and a C, and also a recommendation from a teacher. We're looking for students to be independent workers as well. So you might be wondering to yourself, what's the difference between a traditional and an advanced track? Well, in advanced, the pace is generally faster. Therefore, the workload is moderately harder as well, and heavier. Because students are strong readers, we're usually able to dive deeper into discussions But if your child is in traditional, no fear. We also focus on strategies. We do a lot of scaffolding. We provide information, background information to make sure that students are prepared and ready to read as well. We talk a lot about vocabulary and building that vocabulary also. And we do a lot of chunking to help us make sure that we are successful. And then with those accommodations and strategies that we use in traditional, that helps us also get into those deeper conversations as well. Our book is this year, we are going to adopt a new curriculum. So I'm not exactly sure what type of book we are going to have, but I believe that we will be doing novel studies more this year coming up. So I'm pretty excited about that because I love to read. Homework for ELA generally consists of reading 30 minutes a night. We have projects to do as well. Generally, not all the time, but randomly we'll have a project to do here and there. They may have to do additional writing at home. We do participate in the Pasco Speaks speech competition. So that may be some things that they may need to work on at home as well. And then, as I mentioned, I love to read and am co-host of the Million Word Challenge. So I would like to encourage you to have your child also participate in the Million Word Challenge. What is this Million Word Challenge I'm speaking of? Well, students can read any book that they'd like to. Once they read that book, they can log into a website that's called studentreading.net. Don't worry about knowing that now because they're not going to be able to log in until August. But anything that they read from June 1st until June 1st of 2021 to April 2022, they will be able to log in those books. They'll log in, they'll put the title of the book in. The program has the number of words per book, and they will be asked to answer a comprehension question. If they do so, that shows that they've actually read the book, it'll be accepted, and then they will have a log that has their name, and they'll know exactly how many words that they have read. We do a lot of shout outs in school. We do a 500,000 celebration. And we're going to have to tweak our end of the year celebration. Generally, we've done a lock-in where they spent the night at school overnight, and that's been a lot of fun. But with COVID, probably going to have to change that up this year, but we've got a lot of fun ideas in store. So really hoping that we get our incoming sixth graders to take the challenge and become members of the Million Word Challenge.
Thank you, Ms. Rappaport. Mr. Salerno, were there any questions that you wanted to pose to the group?
I am looking right now and I'm answering the ones individually. There were some questions about foreign language Spanish, and that is offered in 7th and 8th grade. And those are high school classes, so they count towards your high school GPA, and they also satisfy the requirements of the high school as well. We do not have lockers except for in PE. So I did answer questions about that. We do not have a 1 hour lunch anymore. Years ago, we did have a 1 hour lunch that aligned with the high school, but instead we went to, as Ms. Beamer had shared, the air time, which is an intervention time for students, which is much better. So those are questions that I'm just kind of looking at some of the individual parent questions now that I'm answering.
Great. So I'm going to move on then to science. Miss Adkins from Team Infinity.
So hi, I'm Eva Adkins for Team Infinity. As far as typical supplies needed, composition notebook, as Ms. Vandenberg said, generally those hold together because as far as FSAs, students don't take an FSA in science until the end of middle school, unless they're in the accelerated course and they would take it in 7th grade. But that's a good study tool for them to have all of their notes, all of their resources in there. Highlighters, colored pencils, glue sticks, that kind of thing. Our books are also consumable, so they can use their books regularly and they can write in them, take notes in them. If you are a comprehensive 6th grade, so just taking the regular 6th grade science, you'll have the course 1. If you are advanced science, you will actually have 2 science books for 6th grade, the course 1 and the course 3, which is 8th grade. Trying to think, looking at my notes here. So general 6th grade comprehensive science, We cover earth spheres and heat and global patterns in the first quarter, weather and climate, energy transfer and motion in the second quarter. Third quarter is types of forces and gravity, as well as cells. And then our fourth quarter is classification and body systems. So that is the sixth grade content. If your student qualifies for accelerated science, what happens is they do all of the sixth grade content as well as half of the eighth grade content. So a little bit different than some of the other subjects. So if they are accelerated, they are also doing in sixth grade the chemistry portion of eighth grade science this year. And that's typically, we do that in the third quarter. So we'll do sixth grade content kind of compressed for the first semester. And then we'll do the eighth grade content in the third quarter, and then go back for the remainder of the sixth grade content in the fourth quarter. If they are on the accelerated track, this does put them in a place where they can choose to either take physical science or biology in eighth grade for credit at the high school level. For homework, the biggest things with science is it's typically what you don't finish in class becomes your homework. As far as day-to-day homework, there are going to be times where students are working on projects or research papers where they would have to do some work outside of school. And then we have an opportunity for the Pasco Science and Engineering Showcase. That is generally handled outside of school, but they get support in school when they're working on those science projects. So I think that's what I had. Is there anything else I needed to cover, Ms. Beamer?
No, ma'am, I think you did it. Great job. Thank you. All right. And so then we're going to move on to social studies. And so for social studies, I have Mr. Slaughter from Team Achieve.
Hello. All right. So as she's already said, I am Mr. Slaughter. Big things that you need for social studies. We kind of mooch off of the other subjects, all their supplies that they luckily bring for us. So obviously colored pencils and glue sticks are fantastic to have in class. We rarely use them, so we don't really put them on our supply list. But it's nice that ELA and science definitely take care of that for you guys. So we'll be able to use those as well. But the main things that you need for history is just a folder and a notebook. We're very classic school, where everything that they need should be able to be done in the notebook, or everything else will be handed to them. A lot of the notes that we do in class, we actually make ourselves as our sixth grade team, me and the other three history teachers. We make them together, we print them out, and we give them to the students. Therefore, there's not a lot that gets done in their own private stuff, which is why the folder is incredibly important. That way they stay organized. That way when the unit tests come along, they can always reference back to those. And then bring your own device. I know they already mentioned about the devices, but we use a presentation style tool called Nearpod a lot in our classes, which allows the students to actually interact with us and like as the teachers, as with other students while we're actually doing our presentation. So it's really, really important for them to be able to participate fully with us in class with a device. There's only really advanced versus traditional in social studies. There's not like in math where there's like you can start in sixth grade, you can kind of start in seventh grade, make your way up to all the way to geometry. It's a much more linear path where you start with US history in sixth grade, make your way up to civics in seventh grade, and then world history is in eighth grade. So there's not a lot of different paths you can take, but the main ones is that advanced versus traditional. And the main difference between those is speed. I know a couple other teachers already mentioned that. It's just the pace that you go at in the classroom is just a lot faster. And those discussions that you have with the students are a lot more in depth. They kind of go under the surface a lot more into history, a lot past just like this, you know, the chronological line that we know, and we kind of look at constant themes that we can compare to different periods and all that stuff. Another big difference between advanced and traditional is advanced students are, most years, it was hard this year to make sure that did happen because of COVID and everybody's in and out all the time. But the history fair, and history fair is really, really important and really, really cool. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's science fair, but it's with history instead. I know a couple years ago, one that I really liked was called Triumph versus Tragedy. And the students actually came up with a big poster board presentation comparing an event in history about something that was very triumphant and something that was also a tragedy. So a lot of students, one I liked was they used like women during World War II. It was a big triumphant where they were able to get into the workforce and able to participate in factories and all that stuff and start working. But it was a tragic event where World War II was taking place. So there will be a lot of those more in-depth comparisons and projects that go on in advanced, but the content area and the actual material that we talk about in class will be generally the same between advanced and traditional. My last thing is homework. There's not a lot of homework in history class, just like some of the other teachers said. It's more what you don't get done in class is then your responsibility at home. I don't think I've assigned more than 10 actual homework assignments this whole entire school year so far. It's mostly, here's an assignment, I'll give you 20 minutes to do it in class. If you don't finish it, then you might have to take that time at home to complete it. But other than that, it's not like you're getting 3 chapters a night to read and come prepared the next day. That's not what we're doing. I think that's it. If I missed anything, let me know.
Thank you.
I'm going to go over the clubs and sports really quickly because we went over this with the kids and this was the part they were really excited about because they get to actually try out for sports in 6th grade. We have football, which is tackle football, and we told them that there were a couple girls that were on the team. There's volleyball, boys and girls basketball, soccer for boys and girls track, and also cheerleading. We also let them know there are a ton of clubs. Not every one that we have is listed here, but these are some that have been done in the past. Or some that even just started this year brand new. We let the kids know that, I know they wanted to know about what each maybe club did, but we let them know that when the club starts up at the beginning of the year, it will be in the announcements of when it starts and what the club will be about. And if they don't see a club that was on here, some of the kids asked a teacher to sponsor them this year and they said sure. And like our animal service club and fashion club, for instance, were new this year. We just told them though, to be in clubs, it's all about your behavior. If you have good behavior, you'll be allowed to be in the clubs. For sports, it's based on behavior as well, but also you needed to have a GPA that was the 2.5 or better. So you have to be academically sound and your behavior to participate in the sports. And there is a JV and a varsity team for some of the sports. We let them know that you did have to try out, but that's something to look forward to. We'd love them to be involved at Rushi. And we also wanted to let you know, you probably have access to this now, but we also use My Student at Rushi a lot with the kids and parents, the online grade book that you can monitor their progress every day if you want, right? You can see what's been covered in class, in some cases, even what's upcoming, what grades they have got. And you can even select to receive messages via email or text when grades have been entered and if they fall below a certain level to be alerted to that. You can establish your own account if you don't. On our school website, we have really great directions that are posted that if you need access how to get onto My Student, you'll just need some of your email address, the student number. Sometimes if you haven't ever had one, a PIN number if you're new and haven't been in the school system, but we really recommend you having parent access to My Student to keep up on what's happening with your student.
Right. And so if I could just briefly, if you've heard nothing else, get a My Student account. So it's so important. This is really a great way for you to keep up with your students' grades. It will show you what your student is missing by assignment. It will show you how your child did on each assignment that the teacher posts. So if you've heard nothing else, please ensure that you do have that My Student account because it will really help you monitor your student. Mr. Salerno, it is up to you, sir.
All right. I was just answering some additional questions in the chat. I will tell you that we hope that we're going to be able to see you in person. We hope to have a 6th grade university. Usually it's the week before school starts back. As I had shared earlier, the first day of school is August 10th. On August 5th, we'll have an orientation and it's a virtual registration where you're going to go into My Student and you'll see your schedules, pay fees, all online. You do all of the things that we used to do on what they called registration day will be done through that portal called My Student. And we'll have a day that August 5th where students could come in and walk their schedule and see their classes and just feel more comfortable at the campus. We do look forward to having a sixth grade university where we could actually have you face to face with us and we could go over some of the topics such as organization, unlocking a locker for if you're in PE. Those are some things that just kind of break down some of the angst that some students have on that first day. But the very first day that you're going to be official Ravens is August 10th, and you'll be up and ready and at school by 7:25. And as we say at Russia Middle School, we soar to success, and we certainly are a flock of ravens that are always together, and we soar together, and we look forward to you soaring to success with us. I did answer quite a few questions in the chat, but if you would like to continue putting questions in the chat, I will be happy to answer those. A couple of questions that I did not get to. One student or a family asked about Sunshine State books. Yes, those are big, and those are the types of books that we do encourage our students to read. They are award recipients for a reason. Another family asked about backpacks, since sometimes they could get heavy, and what we try to do during our sixth grade university is share with students what needs to be in backpacks and what doesn't. And we'll see that really the backpacks don't have to be very heavy. A lot of things do stay at school. We do have class sets of books. Any of the science books, for instance, that are the kind that you would actually write in, you're just going to take out just those pages that you were working in at the time. And yes, you can have rolling backpacks. We certainly do allow those. And especially for sixth graders, most of your classes are going to be on the first floor. So that makes it very easy. You don't have to go up the steps with a rolling backpack.
So I want to thank all of our parents so much for being here. I want to thank our teachers for being here. And so I am going to dismiss those of you that are not interested in our Soar Academy. So we did show this slide to students and handed out a flyer regarding our Soar Academy. And so the next part of this presentation is going to be specific to that. And so if you are a parent that is very interested in Soar Academy, please stay on. Miss Janelle Levison is here with us, who is a Soar Academy teacher and is going to share a whole bunch of information regarding that. So thank you to everyone again for being here. And if you're interested, stay on. So Miss Livingston, I'm going to switch over to give you the host rights.
Awesome. Okay, so yes, my name is Janelle Levison. I teach math in our Soar Academy. This is our second year in the academy, and while it's clearly not the best year, right? For with all of the restrictions that we have, I'm very excited about the program and our Soar Academy and what we're continuing to build in our academy. So I'm going to play a video here.
Just rights. As soon as I give you those rights, I'm trying to
have some rights.
trying to find you in here.
And I noticed that I have a couple of my Soar parents that are actually on here who already have Soaring Ravens in our academy. So I noticed a couple of you guys on here. So hi, welcome again. And just to kind of full disclosure, the Soar Academy is on the third floor. So yeah, okay, we are housed on the third floor. So it wasn't in the picture and everything. I was like, where are we? But we are on the third floor. So yes, if your student does join the Soar Academy, they are going to get their exercise walking up those stairs to the third floor to see us. So I'm gonna. Do I have rights now?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. Okay,
you're welcome. I'm sorry it took so long. I couldn't find
no worries. Let me go ahead and get my video up here. And so I can share my video. Now, this is an old video, and some of you might even see some of your kids on here from last year. And of course, this was pre-COVID. So full disclosure on that. This is what we're hoping to get back to next year when school starts back. and talk a little bit more about that in a moment here. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and so we can. All right, here we go.
So the Soar Academy is built around the online curriculum that is used for Florida Virtual School as well as Pasco eSchool.
It's a really fun program where basically you get to do modules and lessons at your own pace with the assistance of a teacher if you need anything. And sometimes they'll do live lessons if the class is struggling on certain topics. And you also get to do fun activities if you're on pace and complete your lessons on time.
It's different because you're in a classroom, but you're on a computer. But it's since your teacher's there, it's the best of both worlds because you could ask them for help while you're on an online course.
We are a very close-knit group. We create cohorts for each grade level. So we have a 6th grade cohort, a 7th grade cohort, and an 8th grade cohort currently. And these students travel together pretty much throughout the day. They do have the opportunity to still choose their own electives and go off team during those time periods.
Some of the 7th graders that we have this year, I taught in 6th grade, and having them 2 years in a row has been a great builder as far as our bond and creating that relationship within the classroom.
They should think about really if their student is a motivated self-learner and if their child likes a challenge. If they are naturally inquisitive and they like to take kind of learning by the reins and take control of their own course, like what they're going to study and how deep they're going to study it, this program is really designed for them.
The Soar Academy is rigorous. It's rigorous independent learning. So we are looking for learners who have independence to them. Yes, we're here as teachers to help motivate them and get them on track. But there are times where they have to be self-starters and they have to come in and know what they need to do.
A lot of the things I'm looking into, like engineering and stuff, are on computers now. And everything we do in class is on a computer. We even carry our own little laptop around.
The beauty of the SOAR program is that it presents itself naturally with a lot of opportunity for enriched learning. So if a student is pacing ahead, we have a few students who are doing that, they could possibly finish the course early and have options as to what they can do next before the end of the year. It's not just desks and chairs. We have exercise balls that they use. We have bean bags. Students sit on yoga mats. There's a lot of different flexible seating opportunities.
Great. So I want you to read through that paragraph.
The students are self-managed. They are organized. They are wonderful kids who think outside of the box. They like to be challenged, and they also like to have fun. And this program also leads itself to a little bit of that as well.
So the SOAR Academy is a great option for students who are looking for that push and have the drive to move forward.
Awesome. So that was our video. And again, that was from a year ago. So yes, this wasn't this year. Your kids do wear masks in school. So, but some things that are different this year in the SOAR Academy is that we aren't able to have the flexible seating in the classrooms. We're not able to have our SOAR lounge and really have them do a lot more of the group collaborations that we used to have them do in last year. We still take them outside for Fun Fridays if they're on pace and let them run around and we play with them. But really it's all four core contents in the SOAR Academy. And we ask that students are enrolled in the SOAR Academy for all four contents. It is independent learning in terms of each student is issued a computer, or they can bring their own device. If they want to use their own laptop and come to school with it, that's fine. And they carry this around all day. Their material, everything that they need is in the laptop. The curriculum is online. It's a Florida Virtual School curriculum, but we have control over it in terms of we add different projects, we take away things that we don't feel that maybe are enriching them enough, or we add things that, so we have control over the curriculum quite a bit in our classrooms. And then we also do, so all 4 contents, the computers, they're with the computers all day, and we're in the classrooms with them. We do mini lessons throughout the week. Students can pace ahead. If your students maybe not understanding it, they can take a little bit more time. We tend to have a pace chart for them. We monitor their pace. If we find that they're getting off pace, or if they're a little bit behind, we jump in. We meet with the students one-on-one. We talk about their progress. For math, I ask them to do a lot of reflections. But one of the greatest skills that we're teaching our students is the skill of note-taking and being able to take notes as they're going through the lesson. So one of the first things we do first quarter is talk a lot about note-taking. And I had the opportunity to sit with my Sun Lake High School teachers, team of teachers. And one of the things, the feedback that they gave us as 8th grade algebra teachers with their students coming to high school was, they don't seem ready to take notes. They don't seem ready to be independent learners. For the accelerated track, excuse me, let me say that, for the accelerated track. When they are in honors or algebra 2, they're not sure what they should be writing down. And I was so excited, was not excited to hear that, but excited that that's a really big thing for us in the Soar Academy, is really teaching them, how do we take good notes, especially in math. A lot of students, you know, they can do that mental math really quick, but when we get to that harder content area and harder concepts, you know, taking the time to write it down and to follow steps and to really show your reasoning, your mathematical reasoning, a lot of students struggle with that. So I spend a lot of time with students teaching them that skill so they can take that with them at the high school level. The applications for SOAR, I know a lot of people have put in an application. It is a team-based decision. Unfortunately, well, fortunately, we are going to be meeting tomorrow to review all applications as a team. We did not have planning together this year, and but we had hoped to have all of our applications decisioned and sent out by no later than mid-March. So if you have an application in the system, my commitment to you is you will have a response either the week before spring break or just after spring break. You will have an acceptance letter or a letter back from our academy for your placement. And we're super excited to have you guys come in. I love my 6th graders. I love getting them in 6th grade and then just watching them grow. They stay with us. If they continue on in the academy, they stay with us. I teach 6th through algebra. So I'm always excited to see the growth in the students and as they go through the program. So I'm going to stop there for a second and see if there are any questions. I'm going to check the chat box, see if there are any questions I can answer. If you do feel,
Sorry, there was a question specifically about busing and whether or not students would have a bus. And so if you are zoned for Rushi Middle School, meaning that this is the school where you live, you're in that zone, yes, you will, the bus picks you up just like it normally would because you are a Rushi student that's attending Rushi Elementary School. If you applied for school choice and were accepted for school choice, you would have to provide transportation to Rushi, but again, you would just bring your child to school and then they would attend the program.
Okay, so I've had a lot of parents ask me, well, is this similar to the MSO program? Not really. And by that, I mean, yes, the MSO program is an online learning program for students who are online at home. In the SOAR Academy, like I said, it is a different curriculum. We don't use the MSO curriculum. We use the Florida Virtual School curriculum that we tailor to our team, and for our students. We are there with the students in class. And we all do mini lessons with our students based on whatever module we're on, or if we find that this module is going to need a little bit more deeper attention, or students need to do a collaboration and we need to have them work together on projects. So it's real time feedback with the students. And again, they can be at different places in the curriculum. I've had students finish the 7th advanced math and move right into algebra the second semester. So it's possible if that's the path that they want. We work with each student individually. We ask that students are proficient in reading and math, have at least a level 3 on FSA scores for math and reading, because it is the content is heavy reading. In addition to basic math concepts, needs to be a strong suit for your student in order to understand and learn the concepts that are being taught on the independent learning model. Let's see here. If a student is performing well in 6th advanced, so we do a lot of parent communication. I send out a weekly newsletter every Monday for our team. I send out a newsletter which we go over for the week for all 4 content areas, what the expectation is for the students in terms of the assignments. So you have, it's a one-stop shop. And I also communicate weekly with parents. If your student is falling behind, I'll send an email, hey, I noticed that, I've met with your student, he's falling behind, he's not understanding, or he's not logging on, or things like that. We'll have that conversation. And sometimes, there are moments when if it's not a right fit for the student, it's not a right fit for the student. The Soar Academy is not for every student. We understand that. And we do our best to meet with you to develop a plan, either to help your student be successful in the Soar Academy, and or we, through a series of working the plan. If it's not working out, we do make certain exceptions to the SOAR program. But we'd like to have students within that first quarter, within the first few weeks, we can determine whether or not the fit is going to work. Students move, yes, to each individual SOAR teacher throughout the day. And they will get their electives. They will have normal electives. They will have lunch with their peers. Like I said, they just will have a different team, which is the SOAR Academy and 3rd floor. They will be the most exercised 6th graders in the school, climbing up the stairs.
So Janelle, there's some confusion about it being more like a club. So can you just explain it's not a club?
It's not a club. This is an actual team. We are an academy. So within this school, we are a online curriculum academy where students are able to be online using the online curriculum. They have computers. Our students are walking around school. In their backpack, they should have their computers and maybe 4 notebooks for each class, and that's it. The high school does not have a SOAR, right? Does not have a SOAR academy. Would love to have something like that in the high school. We are one of 4 middle schools that has this type of program currently in Pasco County. And yes, I would love to see it in the high school. I think it would really benefit a lot of students. So right now our application is open. There is no deadline. We are taking, just yet, we are taking as many applicants as we can house for a team to have. So if you are interested, what we ask is, again, the reading and the math, and a recommendation from your math and ELA teacher, your language arts teachers, giving us a little bit background about the student. Is the student, can a student learn in an independent environment? Is the student self-motivated? Is the student, self-advocate? And while these things aren't, if you're not this, you can't get in, we try to build all of those different skills. We teach them about speaking up. We teach them about, if you were given the opportunity to redo something, let's go ahead and redo it. Let's reflect. Let's take a look. Let's go back. They have the opportunity to go back and make a lot of corrections and redo a lot of things with our help there, to improve their grades and to improve their understanding and learning of the material so that they can retain it as they move forward. Do they automatically, if they are performing well, we automatically accept the students back for the next year that they're enrolled? Yes.
And is there a deadline?
So there isn't a deadline currently in place. we would like to get as many, it's pretty much first come, first serve. And then when we fill up, we are filled. So if you are interested, I highly recommend that you put the application in. The application is on our website, and you can go there and do the application and put your teacher recommendations in there as well. We do traditional and advanced courses in the Soar Academy. Yes, we do both. Let's see if there's any other questions here I can kind of help answer. Yes, it is a program that you can earn high school credit. In fact, if students, I have several students who are, I do Algebra 1 honors, and which is a high school course. They have to have this course in order to graduate high school. We do have for science, correct me if I'm wrong, biology, it's a high school course that I know Ms. Grassick offers, and additional high school credit can be earned as well, yes. Advanced classes are offered all throughout the school. So yes, this is not just a Soar Academy. It's not for just advanced courses. We are traditional, and it's the environment for the learning is a little different. It's all computer-based. Students will be accessing the curriculum online with us in the classroom, teaching and guiding. So this student, again, if it's take advanced classes outside of SOAR, yes, you can, absolutely. Is SOAR between gifted and traditional school choice? I meant SOAR will have advanced. Yes, we do have advanced classes. Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
There is a question about ESE. If students it says good for ESE. I'm assuming are students who have an IEP eligible for the SOAR Academy?
We do have students with IEPs on our academy team and 504 plans. We have them all, yes.
And so I would say to that it really is dependent upon your child, right? And so you as parent at this point know your child best. And so definitely can make a decision based on the information that you have. If you have additional concerns, you can always email the teachers on the SOAR Academy with your specific questions. They're really good about getting back with the answers to questions.
I'm going to put my email in the chat box as well. Clearly I can't speak and type at the same time. I just totally stopped typing that in.
So when Mrs. Livingston is doing that, I will share with you that you could apply right on our website. You'll see a link to our website that we put into the chat, and you could apply there.
Yes, you can start later. If you decide that 6th grade, I'm not sure. Absolutely, you can start in 7th grade. You can join it 8th grade. Like I said, we love to get them in at the start. If that's the fit for the student, we want them because I want them with me the whole way. So it is because it's one team. We only have, it's a one team academy. In other words, I'm the only math teacher. So I can teach so many in a class period throughout the day. So it's a regular class day, school day for us. Your student moves from class to class, different classes on the SOAR Academy team. And we, and so it's a one team, and we do teach all grade levels, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, traditional and advanced courses. Okay, I think, any other questions? I put my email in there. If there is something specific you would like to ask me, please feel free to email me. It's jlivings@pasco.k12.fl.us. Please reach out. I will be happy to answer any questions that you have. And you go to our Rushi website. It's under the parent, I believe, parent link. And it says SOAR Academy, and you just click on that, takes you right to the application. Oh, so I will be hosting two parent Zoom dates the week, not next week, the week after. So the week of the 10th, I believe it is. I will be hosting 2 nights. Believe it'll be Tuesday and Thursday night because the course cards are due by that Friday. So I wanted to open up a Zoom so that parents can jump in, ask questions after they receive their course cards. And I'll be happy, and myself and a couple of my teammates will be on as well. But I will send out information with the course cards when your student receives their course cards next week. If they are interested in SOAR, Ms. Truschel will be in the rooms with a little card. It'll say Soar Academy on there. And if they're interested, just get one of those cards from the teacher. It'll have the Zoom information on there, and when I'll be doing a parent night for Zoom for just the Soar Academy, so parents can ask questions, and you can jump on and we can have some face-to-face time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Livingston, for taking the time to present to our parents about this awesome opportunity for their students. And thank you, parents, for taking part. And I love that I see some of your students sitting in with you. So that is super important. And we did tell the kids during our presentations that they should be a part of this meeting with their parents so they can hear the information several times. So Mr. Salerno, do you want to close us out for the evening, sir?
Absolutely. I just want to thank everyone for joining us this evening, our teachers and all of our families. We are so excited about having you join us at Russia Middle School next year. And if you have questions along the way, please always feel free to email us. We're always checking our emails and excited to answer any questions that you may have about joining us for next year. Thank you. Good night.